Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're the place you come to, well, really stretch your mind, maybe even question if you ever really knew what now means. Or, if your cat knows more than you do.
Definitely the cat part today.
Ah,
We're really strapping in for a session that hits right at the foundations of how we think about, well, everything. Reality time.
past, present, future.
Yep.
Yeah, we're sort of tossing the rule book out the window today, exploring something much more fluid, simultaneous, and yeah, honestly, a little bit spooky.
It is, yeah. So our main goal here is to give you a handle on this idea called the spacious present.
Right. And also these idea structures that apparently shield us from it. The source we're digging into is session 41 from the early sessions, book 1 of the Seth material. This one was recorded, get this, way back on Monday, April 6th, 1964.
A vintage session.
Totally. And like I hinted, we actually get some pretty funny proof that even, let's call them non-physical experts, can get caught off guard thanks to a very perceptive cat named Willy.
We're definitely going to unpack that anecdote. But the core aim today is pulling out the most mind-bending insights and, yeah, the funny bits, too. It really focuses on this idea that our everyday reality, our common sense, is built on these divisions that are, well, kind of arbitrary, but maybe necessary.
Necessary shields, maybe.
Could be.
Yeah.
Now, just a couple of quick things before we really jump in. Standard procedure.
Go for it. Lay it out.
Okay, so this deep dive, like all of them, it's distributed completely free of charge across all the major platforms. It's purely for educational purposes.
Good stuff.
And crucially, all the ideas, the quotes, everything we're discussing today comes directly from the Seth material that's published by the New Awareness Network.
Right.
And we really, really encourage you, if this stuff grabs you, to dig into the books yourself. Get the full context. Check out the New Awareness Network website. Their bookstore is at sethcenter.com/the-early-sessions. You can find the full sessions there.
Absolutely essential for the deep divers out there. Okay, so where do we start? This session kicks off not with some grand theory, but with a typo.
Pretty much. It sets the scene perfectly.
Yeah.
Jane Roberts, who's called Ruburt in the material, she's just reading an article before the session.
Right. The article was The Uncompleted Man by Lauren Isley in Harper's.
Yeah. And she's maybe a bit tired, skimming, and she sees the word specious, meaning something that looks plausible but is actually wrong.
Like a flimsy argument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But her mind, maybe that half-awake state, doesn't read specious. It reads spacious. S-P-A-C-I-O-U-S.
Wow. And just like that.
Just like that, the phrase spacious present pops into her head. And she even notes before the session starts that it felt really significant, like ding, idea bulb.
It's amazing how those little slips can unlock something huge. It wasn't just a random mistake then.
Well, according to Seth, no, not really an accident in the usual sense. He explains later that her subconscious had actually tuned into his thoughts just moments before.
Whoa.
Yeah. But her conscious mind needed like a hook, a context. So it latched onto that misreading, that slight shift from specious to spacious, to bring the concept through. It basically waited for the right word vehicle.
That's wild. Her brain found the perfect typo to deliver a profound philosophical concept. Okay, but this intellectual light bulb moment gets immediately interrupted, right, by the cat.
Yes. Enter Willy the cat, stage left, in a panic. Just as things are settling down for the session, around 8:10 p.m., Willy, who had been sleeping peacefully in a closet, suddenly bursts out. Notes describe a mad scramble. You can just picture it, right? Claws scrabbling on the floor, pure kitty terror.
Not just a little jump scare, though. The description is pretty intense.
It really is. It says his ears were flat back, his fur, his hackles were standing straight up.
Yeah.
And he wasn't just running randomly. He kept looking back, staring into the dark, empty studio he'd just fled from.
Chilling. So he saw something, or said something intensely unpleasant back there.
Definitely perceived something. Then he bolts, hides behind a curtain that's hanging over a bookcase, and apparently spends the next 5 minutes just cautiously peeking out, like scanning the room. Very slowly, very deliberately.
Okay, that's more than just being startled by a noise. That's reacting to a presence. A threatening one, maybe?
It certainly seems like it from Willy's perspective. And then Seth chimes in, explaining the commotion.
Right. What was his explanation? Was he, like, messing with the cat?
No, not intentionally. He says quite casually, I was in your back room, minding my own business or yours. Just looking out the window, apparently. And Willy found him almost at once.
So the cat did detect him. But why the sheer terror? Seth's usually pretty chill, isn't he?
Usually. But here's the crucial bit, the reason for the panic. Seth clarifies that Willy wasn't scared just because he was there. It was because, and this is the key quote, Seth was not completely reassembled for your plane.
Not completely reassembled. What does that even mean? Like he was half-formed, glitching.
Kind of. Willy, with his, superior animal senses, wasn't reacting to Seth as a stable entity, but to the unusual chemical fields that were noticeable because they weren't stable yet.
So Willy basically walked in on Seth while he was still materializing, like catching someone mid-teleport.
That's a great way to put it. He caught the expert guide mid-manifestation. The process wasn't quite complete, the camouflage wasn't fully stable, and the cat picked up on that instability. That's what freaked him out.
It's kind of hilarious, though, this powerful, non-physical entity getting busted by a house cat because his entry was a bit glitchy.
Oh, it's absolutely hilarious. And Seth himself clearly saw the humor in it. He delivers this fantastic punchline saying something like, let me get it right, "If your cat gave you a scare, may I mention for your hilarious enjoyment the fact that he caught me unprepared."
He caught me unprepared. That's brilliant. It makes the whole thing so much more relatable somehow. Even cosmic entities can have awkward moments.
Exactly. It grounds the whole session. And, it's actually a perfect real-world example of what happens when that physical illusion, the camouflage, as Seth calls it, flickers for a moment.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue from a cat freaking out over an unstable energy field to the idea that maybe reality itself isn't as stable as we think. Let's unpack this spacious present concept he brought through.
Okay. So Seth states it pretty clearly right near the start. He says, the spacious present is an excellent term. In actuality, there is only a spacious present. That's it. That's the ground floor of reality.
Only the present. So what about past and future? Are they just illusions?
He calls them arbitrary divisions of this one vast present. Imagine a huge open-plan house that's the spacious present. Past, present, and future, as we think of them, are like putting up flimsy drywall partitions to create separate little rooms inside it.
Okay, so it's all one space. But the key isn't just connection, it's simultaneity, right? Everything happening now.
Precisely. The present is so incredibly spacious, so vast, that our normal human consciousness, our physical senses, just can't take it all in at once. We can only experience it piece by piece, moment by moment, sequentially.
Like trying to see an entire landscape by looking through a tiny keyhole.
That's a good analogy. And the consequence, it really is mind-bending. He says, all things that have existed still exist, and all things that shall exist in your tomorrow already do exist.
Whoa, hold on. So like the dinosaurs still exist, and my great-great-grandchildren already exist right now.
In the spacious present, yes. All timelines, all possibilities coexisting. It's not that they will exist or did exist. They do exist simultaneously within this larger framework.
Okay, my brain hurts a little. If that's true, why do I feel such a strong sense of sequence? Monday follows Sunday, I get older, things change. Why the illusion?
It comes down to the fundamental quality of the spacious present itself. Its defining characteristic is spontaneity. Pure, unadulterated, dynamic creation and flux.
Spontaneity, like unpredictable?
Deeply unpredictable from our limited viewpoint. And we, operating through this dense physical system, this body, these senses, we can only handle that spontaneity in a very limited manner. To perceive it raw, unfiltered, it would probably be overwhelming, complete chaos to our senses.
So we needed a way to slow it down, to process it bit by bit.
Exactly. We subconsciously created a kind of perception speed limit. And that speed limit is what Seth terms camouflage time.
Camouflage time. Okay, so it's not real time, it's the rate at which we notice things within the real time, the spacious present.
You've got it. It's the pace at which we, here on the physical plane, discover the different facets, the different rooms, if you like, within that huge spacious present. And this system, this camouflage time, it needs physical stuff.
Needs physical stuff how?
It needs things to appear, grow, change, mature, and then disappear in a sequence. That's what creates the feeling of flow, the illusion that time is moving from a past through the now towards the future.
So the very existence of physical objects changing reinforces the illusion of linear time.
Yes. And this whole filtering process, this camouflage, is so effective, it actually makes the real present, the spacious one, feel tiny and insignificant.
Yeah, that's true. We always think of the present as this fleeting moment, right? Gone before you grasp it.
Seth even says to us, it appears that the present is a fleeting, almost ashen illusion in itself. Just a razor's edge between what was and what will be. But that feeling, that illusion, is actually vital for us to function physically. If we saw everything at once, every potential outcome, every moment, how could we ever make a simple choice?
We'd be paralyzed. Overwhelmed. Okay, so physical things are camouflage structures. The table isn't really solid, it's atoms and energy, but we perceive it as solid. That makes sense.
But then he takes it a step further, right, into ideas.
Exactly. This is where it gets really fascinating. He moves from physical camouflage like the table, or even Seth's own partially formed presence that spooked the cat, to what he calls idea camouflage structures.
Idea structures, so like
Yeah.
concepts, beliefs. Yeah, abstract concepts. But they're described as even more fundamental than physical objects. They're the non-material blueprints, the basic frameworks that actually control how we perceive and structure physical reality.
So the ideas come first, and the physical world follows the rules set by those ideas.
That's the gist. Physical constructions are kind of limited or hampered by the state of our collective idea structures. Our physical world can only change or evolve as fast as our underlying ideas about reality evolve.
Okay, and what's the main purpose of these idea structures? You mentioned protection earlier.
Protection is key. He uses a great analogy. The walls of a house protect you from wind and rain, right? Physical elements.
Sure.
Well, the idea structures, specifically the divisions of past, present, and future, they protect us from inner forces and realities with which you are not as yet equipped to deal.
Inner forces like what? Our own subconscious. The sheer scale of the spacious present.
Probably both. Imagine suddenly having access to every thought you've ever had, every emotion, every potential future, all hitting you simultaneously. It's too much data, too much energy. Linear time acts like a psychological dam holding back the flood.
Wow, okay, so time isn't just a clock, it's a safety feature. A necessary limitation we impose on ourselves.
Seems that way. We need these boundaries, these frameworks, to navigate reality without being completely swamped. And these idea structures, these time divisions, they basically dictate the actual physical camouflage patterns.
Got it. And out of all these idea structures, which ones does Seth say are the most basic, the most powerful?
He highlights two absolute biggies that underpin almost everything in our experience. First, our concept of time as a succession of moments, one following the other, linear time.
Right, the standard model.
And second, our deeply ingrained idea of cause and effect. Event A leads to event B, leads to event C.
The foundation of logic, science, history, everything.
Pretty much. And this is where Seth really drops the bomb. He apparently leaned forward, got very deliberate, very slow in his speech, and stated, and this is a direct quote, "There is no cause and effect in the terms in which you understand the words."
No cause and effect.
None. He follows up immediately. Nor is there a succession of moments that follow one after the other.
Okay, wait. If there's no sequence of moments and no cause and effect, then what? How does anything work that completely dismantles, well, everything we assume about reality?
It really does. Think about the logic. If all moments exist simultaneously in the spacious present, then the idea that something in the past caused something in the present just doesn't hold up.
Because the past isn't gone, it's just another part of the now.
Exactly. Event A and Event B aren't sequential links in a chain. They're more like different facets of the same diamond, all existing at once. An action you take now isn't caused by a past event, nor does it strictly cause a future one in that linear sense.
So our whole feeling of causality, of this happened because of that, is just an illusion generated by how we perceive things.
That's what he says. This distortive illusion of sequence and causality is a direct result of the observation by the outer senses. Our physical eyes, ears, touch, they process data sequentially. They have to make sense of the physical world. And in doing so, they create the experience of time flowing and events causing other events.
Which means these concepts, linear time, cause and effect, they're useful, maybe even necessary for navigating our specific reality, our camouflage universe.
Right, they're practical tools for this level of existence.
But they're not fundamental truths about all reality. And trying to apply them universally is where we, especially scientists, go wrong.
That's the core error, he points out. Scientists trying to measure other potential realities or dimensions using the yardsticks of linear time and Newtonian causality. It's like trying to measure the temperature of the sun with a kitchen thermometer. The tool isn't designed for that context.
Our intellect, tied to our outer senses, is limited by the very camouflage it helps create.
Precisely. Though he does add that the intellect's limitations can be enlarged. It's not a dead end. But breaking through these limitations, experiencing basic reality more directly, requires something else.
And that's where the inner senses come in.
That's the pathway. Direct experience, bypassing the filters of the outer senses as much as possible. And the really interesting twist is that Seth says we're already using these inner senses all the time.
We are. How?
unconsciously. He claims the constant unconscious use of inner senses is actually required just to construct and maintain the physical camouflage universe we live in. We're already doing the magic, we just don't realize it. The goal is to bring that awareness, that control, into conscious focus.
Okay, so if we ditch linear time and cause-effect, the immediate question is, what replaces it? How is reality organized if not by sequence and causality? Is it just pure chaos?
No, not at all. That's a key point Seth makes sure to address. He insists there can be order, believe it or not, without your cause and effect, and there can be order without a succession of moments. Order still exists.
But it's a different kind of order, not sequential, but inherent, spontaneous.
Exactly. He describes order as one of the most basic attributes of all reality. It's inherent in the fabric of existence, residing within that very spontaneity of the spacious present. Think of like a complex fractal pattern. It's incredibly ordered, but the order emerges all at once, not step by step.
So all the different dramas or lives or events unfolding across all time, they're all happening now simultaneously, but within an underlying pattern or order.
That's the picture. All planes of existence have their being in the spacious present, and all fragment dramas are acted at the same time, like countless plays being performed simultaneously on an infinitely large stage, yet somehow contributing to an overall coherent production.
It's a staggering concept. Does he offer any, external validation for this? Anything to hang on to?
He does mention, sort of reassuringly, that this idea of timelessness, of no real beginning or end, isn't totally new. It's been known for centuries, he says, presumably referring to mystical traditions. And he specifically points to modern physics, saying, your own Einstein's theories will help to give the idea scientific respectability.
Ah, relativity. Time being relative, space-time curvature.
It does point away from a simple, universal clock.
It certainly opens the door. Seth predicts that while the theory of successive moments works on your plane right now, as humanity's thinking gets broader, the idea will eventually be actually discarded on theoretical terms.
But we'll probably still use clocks.
Oh, absolutely. He makes that exact point, quite humorously. Just like we know a table isn't truly solid, but we still build and use tables.
Right.
Mankind will still use watches long after your scientists discover that the theory of successive passage of moments is antiquated and itself passé. The practical illusion persists even after the theory is updated. Okay, that makes sense. Now, he also tackles another big idea camouflage structure, doesn't he? Something about where we look for other life.
Yes, another fundamental limiting belief. The assumption that all or even any other intelligent life must exist on the same horizontal plane as us. Basically, somewhere else within our known physical universe, reachable by traveling across space.
The standard sci-fi model. Aliens are on other planets and other star systems.
Right. Seth suggests this is too narrow. He brings up the concept of a fifth dimension, not as time, but as a dimension of, depth or quality. Understanding this, he says, will show that other realities exist, but they aren't just far away horizontally, they're qualitatively different on other planes entirely.
Which makes trying to reach them with, say, a spaceship kind of pointless.
Pretty inefficient, at least for reaching these other plane realities. He challenges the idea directly, saying something like, I'd like to see you try to get from one plane to another in a spaceship. The sheer physical distance, the quantitative difference, he argues, almost becomes a qualitative difference when you're talking about crossing these fundamental dimensional boundaries.
So even if we develop super fast physical travel,
he acknowledges future physical travel might get more efficient, maybe even journey through light beams. That could speed things up within our own horizontal plane, our universe. But for contacting intelligences on fundamentally different planes of existence, the only way, he stresses, is the development and use of the inner senses. That's the real interstellar, or rather, interdimensional travel.
Inner senses are the key, again, and just to put a pin in the local search, he answers a direct question about life nearby, right?
Yes. The specific question was, is there any other intelligent life in our own small solar system? And the answer given was a clear no.
Okay. So, don't hold your breath for finding ruins on Mars. Maybe focus on inner exploration instead. Good to know. This brings us back to the idea of laws being breakable.
It does. If these laws, like causality or even physics as we know it, are just part of the camouflage, part of the idea structure for this plane, then they shouldn't be absolute.
And the proof is in the exceptions.
Exactly. Seth lays down this really powerful challenge to scientific orthodoxy. He says basically, any time, any one time, You can behave in a manner that suggests that one of your cherished limited laws of the universe does not exist. Then you can be certain that the so-called law does not exist.
At least not in any basic manner, meaning it's a local rule, not a universal one.
Precisely. And he points out that these laws have been broken. In isolated instances, often enough, he says, think about accounts of, levitation, telepathy, spontaneous healing, things that defy known physics or biology.
But science tends to dismiss those as anomalies, errors, or fraud.
Right. They're ignored or explained away because they don't fit the accepted framework, the camouflage structure. Seth argues that scientists are missing the point. The anomaly proves the limitation of the current law. It shows the rule only applies within a specific context.
It's a failure to see the exception as the clue to a deeper reality.
That's it. And this leads directly into a teaser for what's coming next in the material, connecting back to the inner senses.
What's the connection?
He says the next inner sense he'll discuss is directly related to phenomena that break these laws, specifically levitation and teleportation.
Whoa. Okay. How do those work, according to this?
He describes them as involving a momentary or temporary breaking up of certain camouflage patterns. The physical structure, the stable illusion, is briefly destabilized, rearranged, or reassembled elsewhere.
Hang on. Breaking up camouflage patterns. Like Willy the cat reacting to Seth being not completely reassembled.
Bingo. You got it. Seth explicitly links his own slightly messy entrance that scared the cat to this very topic. He calls that incident a sort of preliminary example, a way to start understanding the inner senses that deal with transportation, with manipulating the physical camouflage.
So the funny cat story wasn't just an amusing anecdote, it was lesson 1 in teleportation mechanics.
It seems like it. It showed, in a tangible way, what happens when the stable physical pattern flickers. Willy sensed the breakdown of the camouflage.
That's brilliant. Okay, so after dropping hints about teleportation, where does he wrap things up for this session?
He finishes by promising a future, more detailed discussion on another huge topic, the dream world.
Okay. How does that fit in?
He presents the dream world as another example of these other planes of existence. But it's a special one because it's a plane that we create.
We create it, like individually, collectively.
He says, it is to some extent independent of you, and yet dependent upon you in very basic ways. It suggests a co-created reality, perhaps, that has its own rules, but it's still fundamentally linked to our consciousness. It serves as another bridge to understanding how reality is constructed.
And he doesn't just want them to take his word for it.
No, that's a consistent theme. He emphasizes that this isn't just abstract theory you have to accept on faith. He specifically says he will endeavor to help you where I can, to allow the recipients, Jane and Rob, to directly experience these connections, to understand the practical side of working with these concepts.
That's crucial. Experience over belief. Okay, what a session. We went from a startled cat
Poor Willy.
to dismantling time itself, realizing everything might be happening right now in this spacious present.
Yeah, and seeing how our ideas of past, present, future, and cause and effect are maybe just useful illusions, protective walls we build around ourselves.
Walls protecting us from the sheer intensity and spontaneity of unfiltered reality. It makes sense why he needed to lay this groundwork.
Absolutely. And I really liked his closing note where he kind of apologized for the tone.
Right. He said he might have sounded more like an impersonal lecturer than a friend.
Yeah, but he stressed that this foundational stuff, deconstructing time and causality, was necessary before they could really get into the more advanced practical stuff like teleportation and manipulating dream reality. You need the theory before the practice.
Shows a real awareness of how intense the material is, and you gotta love that even after laying out this cosmic framework, the most memorable image might still be Seth getting caught unprepared by the cat.
It keeps it real, doesn't it? Even guides to the multiverse can have an off moment.
It definitely does. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe the final thought for you listening out there is this.
Go on.
If Seth is right, if time and causality are just these camouflage structures, these walls built for our protection, what are they protecting you from? What inner forces, what vast realities, what spontaneous potentials are you currently shielded from, simply by sticking rigidly to the idea that yesterday is gone and tomorrow isn't here yet?
Ooh, that's a heavy one. What are you afraid of finding if those walls dissolved, even for a moment? It really flips the script on how we see our limitations.
Definitely something to ponder. And if you want to ponder it further, we strongly recommend checking out the Sork material.
Absolutely. Dive into the early sessions, book 1 of the Seth material. You can find it and much more on the New Awareness Network site at sethcenter.com, their early sessions.
Go explore the spacious present for yourself. Till next time, keep questioning those walls.
A pleasant good evening to you.